Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of The Comic Conspiracy. Woohoo! Hooray, we're back once more for another podcast of podcasting fun. Hello, Brock, how are you? Oh, wait, what's your name?
Are you talking to me or the audience?
You.
Oh, Brock Sager.
Hey,
What's
Brock.
your name?
My name's Ryan Higgins.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm alright, you?
I'm good. We had a 18th anniversary sale just prior to recording this episode at the store, which I completely forgot to plug on last week's episode because I suck ass.
Yeah.
So I did on the Geek Box, and I completely forgot to mention it here. So by the time you guys hear this on Monday, you will have missed our 18th anniversary sale.
A boo to Higgins.
Yeah. I'll make it up to the podcaster somehow. I'll make it up. Maybe we'll do an online podcast-only sale sometime.
Maybe. That sounds good.
Mail order. More stuff for you to ship out for me.
Great.
So order lots. Order lots of heavy archives and omnibuses so Brock can pack them and ship them for you.
Yeah, just so you know, after I pack them, before I ship them, I will chuck them at Ryan's head.
As long as they're not too damaged.
No, there's nothing in your head. How could they get damaged?
Oh, snap. So we don't have a ton planned for this episode. It's a couple news stories, but we're going to have some listener mail, which we wanted to talk, and a couple things we're actually talk about that they bring up. So it's kind of cool. We got a handful of listener mail, and so I figured since...
Do we have any news?
Yeah, we do have a little bit of news.
Let's touch on the news real quick, then we'll get to the listener mail.
We got a few news stories. First news story is... Brock, I know you're going to like this. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier ago. Sorry, I got to go pull up all my stuff again because my computer crashed. You will be very happy to hear that Neil Gaiman's American Gods, based on his novel,
yes,
released in early 2000s,
yeah,
is coming to HBO. Hopefully, maybe, possibly.
Well, that's just like everything else. I mean, if they do make it, that's really awesome. I mean, it's the guys that did Tom Hanks and the ones that did Band of Brothers, and Big Love and stuff.
Right.
Yeah. No, with them on board, I mean, as long as it stays very gritty, I think it has potential to be a really, really good show.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the novel. You have yet to read it.
Yeah.
So you're a fan.
I am a fan of Neil Gaiman, but I'm less a fan of reading books without pictures sometimes. I need to get better at this. I have checked out...
You need to get better at reading, period. You have a backlog that is ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah,
nice.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I do have a backlog of comics, and I have a backlog of novels and TV shows and everything else that I want to read and watch and participate in. So, video games, everything is backlogged. It's too much stuff. But yeah, no, Neil Gaiman's American Gods... It's been sitting on my bookshelf for like a decade. I need to read it. I really do. I'll read it before the show comes out. How about that? That's my promise to you. If it gets made, I'll read it before it comes out.
It's definitely a good book. I mean, if you haven't read it yet, definitely pick it up. It's on my gift list for books that I give out to people.
Cool.
So my dad really enjoyed it. I gave him a copy, and yeah, people tend to really enjoy it. If they make it a show, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of Vertigo titles out there that would be awesome as a show.
Yeah.
Scalped
would be great. Now, something like Scalped, though, not a miniseries. Scalped needs to be an ongoing.
Scalped needs to be an ongoing, as well as Fables would need to be an ongoing.
Sandman, I'm okay with a miniseries, because DC Entertainment's talking about the Sandman TV show, so we'll see if that comes to anything.
Sandman would be a good miniseries. Preacher would be a good miniseries.
Yeah, great. Well, even you could get away with a couple years on Preacher.
Yeah, limited series,
right?
Like limited seasons where they plan out like it's 2 seasons long or 3 seasons long.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of potential out there. I mean, it's sad that not more is being picked up for TV. Like I know Fables was going to go with ABC was looking at Fables for a while, and then they fell apart.
Well, with DC Entertainment coming out, where they're trying to turn more of their properties. Basically, in the demise of Harry Potter, because the books are done and the movies are done, DC, Warner Brothers needs the next big thing, so they're turning to the comics. DC Entertainment's taking a lot of their stuff, movies, TV shows, film. I mean, obviously, we have a ton of stuff coming out for DC properties in the next couple of years. So,
Wonder Woman TV show?
Yeah. A couple new animated shows, Green Lantern animated show, Brave and the Bold still going on, Teen Titans, Young Justice still going on, Superman relaunch, supposedly a Flash, Green Lantern this summer, another Batman. Yeah, a lot of big stuff coming up. Really cool. I'm excited. The other big, sorry, it's been a long day. The other big comic news.
Like a redheaded stepchild is my phrase for that.
You know it. As a redheaded stepchild, you know all about this.
Mm-hmm.
The other big news from this week is not so much good news, but kind of bad news to a degree. Tokyopop, which is a manga company that's been around for about a decade or so, is actually shutting down. They were a big deal in the early 2000s. They really revolutionized how manga was released here in the United States. They took it away from the single issue format. They put it only in a collection. They shrunk the collection size down from the way Viz and Dark Horse and a couple of the other places, the U.S. companies publishing manga, they shrunk it down to to a level closer to the Japanese counterpart. They $9.99. The majority of the books were just $9.99. But the biggest change was they changed the books back to the original Japanese right to left. Most English books all English books are left to right. Mm-hmm. Japanese are right to left. Most manga that got translated here came out left to right. So Tokyopop was really the first guys to do original.
They did revolutionize part of the industry, at least for American manga.
Right.
But they weren't necessarily the best company.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff with them. They had a lot of what they called English language manga, which manga just means comic books. So English language manga means English language comic books, which translates to comic books. It was kind of a weird thing. I know they screwed a lot. Well, the writing on the legalese for you getting your OEL book published by Tokyopop screwed a lot of 16-year-old kids or 18-year-old kids out of their dream creation, basically. I mean, it's been written a lot of online. You can find a lot of it. A lot of different people were getting really pissed off at Tokyopop. It's weird, though. Some of the people seem they were like, oh, Tokyopop is such a great company, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot kind of like Wizard. I felt like Wizard got a lot of love in, the day they shut down. People forgot how much they hated Wizard for the last, decade. Well, Tokyopop got a lot of hate in the last 4 or 5 years, especially. And all of a sudden today, when this hit, I read a lot of blogs and a lot of reports that were like, oh, Tokyo. It's no, they did revolutionize the industry, don't get me wrong. And then they basically went under just as quickly. So, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess you want to, when someone dies, you want to praise the good.
Remember the good stuff, right?
And they did. I mean, Tokyopop did some great stuff. They just didn't follow through. So, yeah, well, I mean, they are continuing their international licensing. I believe some of the movies and TV deals are still happening. There's a handful of stuff. There's a movie coming out in the U.S. called Priest, based on a Korean manhwa, which is just Korean for comic book. Yeah. The Tokyopop published here under their manga line. Manga, manhwa, comic. It's all the same thing. So there may still be stuff out there. A lot of those people that created books for Tokyopop, the English language comics, unlikely they'll either get their rights back or the rights just may vanish into the void. I mean, I don't know how it works, but I'll find out more as it goes on. And then we talked about this briefly last episode. You haven't read a lot of manga. You don't
Actually, I haven't really read any. I don't.
Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Blade of the Immortal.
I've seen Akira.
Yeah, the movie.
I've seen Ghost in the Shell.
Cool.
I've seen Wicked City.
I've
seen Princess Mononoke.
Because of Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
I think you would like a lot of the manga movies, of the animated movies, the anime. Not the TV shows so much, but I think you could get into a lot of the Miyazaki stuff. Princess Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. I could see you getting into that type of stuff.
I've enjoyed what I've seen.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't rush out to see it or watch it. It's not. It has to be done right. I can't stand horrible translations.
like the bad dubbing?
Yeah, the bad dubbing.
English dubbing.
And their mouths keep moving. It's like...
Most dubs are pretty terrible.
Yeah, but, it's one of those things where when in animation, you should at least try.
Right.
A little bit. I mean, you can cut out a couple of frames to accommodate mouth movement.
Right.
Speaking of animation, I just finished watching Green Lantern First Flight this week. Nice. I liked it.
It was good.
I didn't think it had as much pizzazz as I thought it was going to be.
Pizzazz.
I didn't like John Larroquette as Tomare.
Yeah.
His voice just didn't fit right with me, and Kilowog's character was very... he wasn't played up as much as I thought he was going to be.
One thing in the movie I didn't like quite as much as... I didn't really like Boudica becoming a bad guy.
Yeah.
She was one of the kind of tertiary Green Lantern characters, and she's a cool character in the comic. I like her.
She goes through that transformation, doesn't she?
Right, they made her an Alpha Lantern in the comics, which is the Green Lantern's version of but the police investigate themselves. What the hell are they called?
Detectives?
No, where they investigate themselves.
Internal Affairs.
Internal Affairs, thank you. So the...
IA.
Yeah.
IA on OA.
Yeah, exactly. OA. IA on OA.
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 Reporting for duty. OAIA. OAIA.
Good lord. Yeah, so the Outlander stuff, Boudica, she's cool, but yeah, I mean, they wanted to do something different in the movie.
And I mean, they stuck to the canon a little bit, and they moved the canon a little bit, and that's fine. You know, I'm more forgiving now than I used to be of variations from print to film.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you have to be.
And I mean, there's certain things you just can't forgive.
Yeah.
You know, but there are other things that you can just be like, whatever. Marvel skirts the line of can't forgive so much. It's ridiculous.
Now, some of the stuff is decent.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to First Class.
Well,
Angel's a chick.
Whatever. She's a chicken.
No, I can't forgive that.
This Angel's a girl in the Grant Morrison New X-Men. It's a different character.
Yeah, that's a different character. This is an Angel of the original.
Oh, he's in the new movie, so he can't be in those movies. That's why it's a different character.
I don't know.
Because they're still in the continuity of X-Men 1 through 3.
I saw a trailer. The trailer looked somewhat okay.
It looked
I'll probably watch it.
Yeah, of course you will. You'll be there with me opening night.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Don't say you won't. Not too much news this week, and I don't think we've read any comics this week. We've been getting ready for
some guy's General Zod.
Yeah, we talked about that on the Geek Box. We can talk that a little bit here. Yeah, Zod's going to be in the new Superman movie.
Boring.
That's all I have to say about that. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the Superman movie. I'm sure Zod's cool, but it's like, Zod. If it was Brainiac, if it was Bizarro, if it was Doomsday, I would be super excited. Zod, we've seen this again. And Zod's not even a good character. He's not even a real character in the comics. I mean, not until recently.
Well, you and I have talked about this. Is with the Batman franchise relaunch, we went with two characters that were off base.
Right.
Which was Ra's al Ghul and the Scarecrow, which I thought was a phenomenal choice for a first film. And then when you go into your second film, you get the bigger hitters.
For sure.
Which was Joker and Harvey Dent turning into Two-Face. And then the third movie, I'm not sure, was it Bane and Catwoman.
Well, we don't know what level Zod is going to be in this movie. I mean, this movie could be all on Krypton for all we know. I would love to see a movie about Jor-El and Zod on Krypton based off Jeff Johns' run on Action Comics, where he went through and did a lot of the background story of Zod, Ursa, and Non, how they kind of came to power. I mean, that's great stuff. Don't even have Clark Kent in it. Don't even have Kal-El in it. That'd be fine. No one would watch it, but that'd be awesome to me. I'd go see that in a heartbeat. That'd be a great animated movie. That's what they should do for one of their animated movies.
They might.
That'd be great.
So, yeah, I don't think there was any other news.
No. Like I said, we're going to keep it nice and short and sweet this week. We're both very tired. A long day, a long sail, busy day. But we got a bunch of listener mail we want to read here, which is we'll do this every handful of episodes. We'll go through and read a bunch of mail. Some cool stuff here, and actually a couple things to talk about that they bring up in this mail. So we'll pad out this episode a little bit like Bendis pads a trade paperback. Was that a snap? Sorry.
A snap.
All right, our first email this week is from Sam. Sam says, "Great show. Been a loyal follower from the very first episode." Just kidding. He wrote this after the very first episode, so funny stuff. I've wanted a podcast like this for a while. Thank you for doing this. I have a lot of questions about comic storylines from the late 80s. Would you guys consider doing a Whatever Happened To, or maybe some background on some of my favorite comic books? What was Crisis about? Secret Wars. What was Secret Wars 2 about? It was terrible. What happened to the New Mutants?
Read it.
What happened to the New Mutants?
They
became X-Force, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot more of these type of questions. Keep up the great work. Cool. I mean, I would love to ask. If people got comic questions, I'll totally do like a question and answer episode of like, what was the story about? What happened after this? Like, sure, why not? I mean, you can just go to Wikipedia and look up yourself, but if you want to hear me and Brock talk about it, I'll gladly do it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, most of the stuff from the 80s I haven't touched so much yet. It was...
Never read Crisis?
No, I read Crisis.
Okay. Secret Wars?
Never read
the original Secret Wars?
No.
Okay.
No.
Secret Wars 2 it was all with the,
it's not the one with the jazz hands, is it?
No, that's Secret Wars.
Oh, okay.
Secret Wars number 8, Jazz Hands, Spider-Man in his black costume. Yeah. We can go through, we actually, with like Flashpoint coming up and Fear itself just started up, we've talked a lot about doing these kind of specific episodes on certain subjects. A specific episode on the great crossovers of comic history would be a cool episode to do, so maybe we can do that in a future episode.
3.
Just talk about the different crossovers. I mean, from Crisis to Crisis. This is actually a podcast called From Crisis to Crisis. It's about
ended, right? Because there's no more Crises.
No, they're doing every Superman story from Crisis on Infinite Earths through Final Crisis, which is a lot of comics.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting. I never read it, but that'd be cool. Sam, thanks for the great question. We'll do that soon. That'd be cool. Brock, you got one there to read?
I got one from Mitch Ryan, another Ryan in his house.
Nice.
He says he wanted to just tell us we're doing a great job. He loves comics, and I guess he's been following you on Twitter because I don't tweet.
We'll get you on there.
Huh?
We'll get you on there.
No, I don't tweet.
You have followers that want to follow you on the Twitters.
They can follow my blog, or they can follow me on the forums. I don't tweet.
What's your blog again?
conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com.
What's the forums?
The forums is forums.geekbox.net.
Cool. Should go on that.
Yeah. Go on it. Do it. He says he's listened to other podcasts, but he really likes ours for some odd reason. He says, like, you and I have...
What chemistry. A fool.
Don't insult our listeners, jackass. What a dick. Mitch, I'll punch him in the nuts for you. He doesn't really have any questions, but he did find it that he enjoyed it that you replied to one of his questions, because I guess he asked you a question on Twitter.
Cool. I usually respond to stuff on Twitter. So, I mean, sometimes I miss it, or sometimes I just don't have the answer.
Well, if it happens on a day where you're not connected to your computer...
Yeah, I'll kind of miss a lot of those. Yeah.
Do not tweet him on Sundays or Thursdays. But thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. We'll try to keep up the good work.
Cool. Got an email here from Mike. So you enjoy the podcast? Keep it up. All right. I've been wondering what our policy on talking about spoilers would be. Personally, I'd like to hear you discuss the books without worrying of spoiling it for someone not caught up. Should have read this prior to last week's episode. There will be episodes we don't have a choice about spoiling. Something like when Flashpoint #1 comes out, or I mean, I don't expect we'll see a lot in the next issue of Brightest Day because we got the big spoiler in this last issue. But no, I'm not going to spoil every book every week.
Well, with the way that we record, I don't think we'll run into too much of that, especially with the readers that are reading week to week. With the people that are picking up and jumping on,
right?
Yeah, we'll try to let you guys know. Maybe you want to mute this for about 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, even when we talk about old series, we talk about Sandman the Preacher or something like that. I have no interest in spoiling old series. So really the only time we would talk about something super spoilerific would be something brand new. And really, this is something that's going to be on Bleeding Cool on Monday or Tuesday already. This is something that's going to be on... it'll be online for a week at that point almost by the time we're up. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. We will try our very hardest to spoiler tag stuff. No shouting out random spoilers in the middle of the episode for no reason. I don't want to spoil stuff. I've gone back and listened to old podcasts. I've been like, I wish I'd listened to that. So, the unfortunate nature of it is going to happen, but we'll keep it on the mellow. On the mellowish side of spoilers. So.
Spoiler alert. No, actually, I'm just going to read another mail.
Okay.
This is from, I'm going to say Jesse.
Okay.
There's no IE, so I assume it's Jess. I don't know.
Just Jess?
Just Jess. Loves the show, but they got a beef with something that comes up with comics from time to time, which I think a lot of people have a beef with, which is series that take forever to come out. The examples were Planetary, Ultimate Hulk vs. Wolverine, Fear Agent, and Bad Dog.
I don't know Bad Dog.
I don't know Bad Dog either.
Well, what happens with comics, and this is something that's happened really badly over the last couple decades. I mean, you go back to some books in the 80s, a lot of the creator-owned stuff. I mean, the books came out when they came out. There wasn't solicitations to the way we know them now. There wasn't the internet. Books just sort of shipped whenever. Stores wouldn't order a book based on a text solicitation. It would be like the next issue of Superman. That's all you had to go by. I mean, they didn't care. There wasn't this big thing on continuity. Where late shipping books really started to become bothersome is especially in the last 20 years or so when you have things that are crossovers, big continuity. It really hurts when something that spoils a character's death, let's say, comes out before the character actually dies. I mean, I know that happened in I want to say before Civil War. There was, or maybe it was the reveal of Spidey's ID. There was an issue that sort of hinted at it that came out before that issue of Civil War came out because Civil War is running late at that point. You know, you're going to have so many cases where books are late. The cases brought up here, Planetary, Fear Agent, those books are, Planetary is not creator-owned, but it might as well be. It's a Warren Ellis book. It came out at such infrequency, especially in the last handful of issues, but it was sort of one of those, it wasn't a crossover, it was really self-contained, so the majority of people were happy to just have it come out when it came out. It was by the original creative team. People wanted to come out, but do you want it to come out now, or do you want it to come out 6 months from now, but well written, by the same creative team, by the same artist, by the same writer, with a lot of love put into it. And I think in the case of Planetary or Fear Agent, Rick Remender, Tony Moore, I mean, they have lots of other work that they're doing as well, so their monthly Marvel and DC books, or what have you, are going to take precedent over a lot of the independent titles, because in my mind, Amazing Spider-Man must ship every month. Action Comics must ship every month. I don't care who writes it. You can have the greatest people on earth writing it. You can have my dog can write it. These books must ship. I would love to see my dog write Action Comics, actually. You must have these books shipping every single month without fail. Yeah. Your Planetaries, your Ultimate Hulk vs. Wolverines, your Fear Agents, your Big Numbers is an Alan Moore book that number 3, I think, was supposed to be out like 20 years ago and it never came out. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Everyone's waiting for the next volume, but you're not going to affect an entire company if your book doesn't come out. Where you have books like Civil War that ship horrendously late and cause your main titles to not ship for months. That's a major issue. Yeah. DC obviously had a lot of problems, lots of the tie-ins to Final Crisis, and Final Crisis itself shipping late.
That was horrible.
Infinite Crisis was having a little bit of trouble, kept slipping off the schedule. Black Knight, boom, they were really good about it. Siege, I think Siege was pretty good. I don't remember there being...
Siege was okay.
I want to say the last issue shipped late.
The last issue of Siege shipped late, and I think Secret Invasion had a couple hiccups in the middle.
Right, but I mean, I'll forgive a week or two on the big books. That's not going to kill you, but when you start to hit a few months, something like what happened with Civil War, I mean, they basically said, we are not going to ship Amazing Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, was it maybe Captain America? Yeah. I don't remember there was a handful of books, like, we're not shipping these until Civil War catches up. And it's like, how could you do that? Put fill-in issues. Yeah. Like, no one, I mean, of course people care, but at the end of the day, you need Amazing Spider-Man on the shelf every single month. Yeah. And there's just no other way around it. The independent books, they can come out whenever the hell they want. We're talking about non-player last week, a couple weeks ago.
Nate said flat out, this is his first try at it. He hopes to get it out on a regular basis, but it could just end up being quarterly.
He spoke. He sent an email back out to a bunch of retailers the other day and said the same thing. He's like, "There's no way this book's coming out on time." So it was listed monthly in the solicitations. That's a mistake. It's going to come out when it comes out. Just hopefully you guys are cool with it, and I'm totally cool with it. I don't care when it comes out. I just want it to come out.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think.
I think a lot of this feeling of lateness or anger towards lateness in comic books does stem from what happened with Image.
Oh, a lot of it came from Image. Absolutely, a lot came from that.
And people, I mean, Image had some really, really good titles when they first started. I mean, I enjoyed reading Wildcats. I enjoyed reading Storm.
But it was all late by the second issue. Yeah. Every single book. I think maybe except for Savage Dragon and maybe Shadowhawk or something, but maybe even those.
Spawn and Savage Dragon were the ones that shipped.
But even Spawn slipped off the schedule fairly quick. He had those issues by Neil Gaiman and Alan Moore and Dave Sim. Late shipping comics, I mean, they've always been a problem. But there's always been late comics, even back in the Silver Age and Golden Age. And I'm sure it happened, but to the point that it happens now, it's just not the same.
Well, I think now it's.
Well, I think Marvel and DC are learning. I think they're getting better. You still have your problems. You still have your problem creators, but it's like, don't give Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely a monthly book unless he's only doing 2 or 3 issues, because they're not going to ship on time.
Don't give Straczynski single issues.
Yes, don't give Straczynski single issues to do. Have him pre-write a miniseries and then put it out. Mark Miller God bless his heart, but
Dude, seriously, you are saying that
his
on,
independent
on
books are Kick-Ass is already just way off the mark already.
Well, duh. Here's the screenplay for Kick-Ass 2.
Oh yeah, I know. It's going to get on that.
Have you watched the movie?
Kick-Ass?
Yeah.
No.
Neither have I.
No. Maybe I'll Netflix it one day.
Why?
I don't know. Netflix streaming.
Why?
I don't know.
I would never watch it.
Sure, maybe.
Just like I'd never watch the Batman and Robin movie.
Oh, you'll watch that.
Oh, no, I won't.
Yes, you will.
No, I will not.
So, yeah, late shipping comics. Kind of sucks. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
I think what you were saying is the big books are consistently okay. The big titles come out.
Right.
The smaller titles normally fall by the wayside, and some of those, are annoying because some of the big titles or some of the smaller titles are popular.
Yeah.
But, it's Walking Dead and, like, Invincible still come out on a regular basis. If Kirkman has a hiccup and it comes out a couple weeks delayed, do you really notice?
Yeah, no, something like that's not going to make not too big of a deal. But you're going to end up losing your fan base, really, if the books are that late. And this is kind of one of the things, go back to we were talking about Marvel and DC and the big crossovers. People say they don't like the big event books. But what's the only thing that really sells? The big event books. People say late comics kills the sales. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they really don't. Yeah. There are certain books that are way off the mark, and they really don't affect the sales at all. And I think it's getting to the point where when you have 100 titles staring you in the shelf and you haven't seen an issue of Bob's Comics number 604 for 8 months, and you're like, oh, I must not have picked up the last dozen issues. You just don't even think about it. I mean, this is the thought process when people go through their head.
Well, I think you lose something when you do that also, at least, if I'm looking at Bob's Comics, 605 was our reference. If the book hasn't shipped in 4 months, it might come out and I might not be paying attention for it.
Well, right. I mean, if you're not there every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, you may miss it. You may think, oh, I missed a dozen issues or whatever. I'm not going to bother anymore. Plenty of books that people like. I mean, I hear all the time. They're like, oh, yeah, I just didn't even, or nobody was coming out. I just overlooked it on the shelf because you're hit by so many comics on a weekly basis. There's so much, I'm in a comic shop 5 days a week and I still like, oh, this came out? Oh, I guess. Yeah, I just totally spazzed and I looked right past it. Yeah.
It's a lot of material. Just me getting back in and trading a lot of my reading, it's just a lot of material.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, and with the trade paperbacks and everything, now not only do you have all the current stuff, you can go back really far too. I mean, there's so many books you can buy, more than ever.
Yeah, I think they're not necessarily late anymore with trades. I'll give them that much.
Yeah,
toys, they need to work on that.
In what way?
Batman Arkham Asylum figures like a year and a half after the game.
You know what's funny? Flashpoint figures coming out right when Flashpoint came out, or is coming out in July. They're fixing it. They're working on it. Mattel's figures are getting better. Marvel's done pretty good with was it Hasbro that is Marvel? Their figures are already, they already got Thor figures out on the shelves from the movie. The thing is, there's such a long production line for figures that doesn't really matter. I mean, the figures kind of come out whenever. That's not going to be a huge problem. Hell, they still make retro figures for Transformers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 20 years ago. It's not that big of a deal. The comics, though. If you look at some of the sales charts, sales figures for some of these titles, you can just see how many sales are lost from these late books, especially on the big titles. And it's just, I don't know what. Well,
the recent one from DC wasn't it Vanishing Point?
Vanishing Point was late because Return of Bruce Wayne was late.
Yeah, but the Return of Bruce Wayne finished
before
Vanishing Point came out. But Vanishing Point led up to the end. It led up to the end of the Return of Bruce Wayne.
All right.
But it's okay. Booster Gold is in his time travel. We can forgive it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's great. Got, I think, one or two more emails here we're going to read up here. I got Dave in the UK. He says, compared to you historians with comics, I arrived fairly late in the comic world. I'm 18 and started a few months back. Cool. Congratulations. What, you have to read me back, Dave. What got you to start reading comics? Was it the Geek Box? You'd listen to us on there and you heard us talking comics, Walking Dead, because you mentioned Walking Dead later here. Was there something else? Let us know. We always want to know what caused people to start reading. I've been working my way through Thor, starting with the Straczynski run, and I love it. It's a good run. Ends kind of abruptly, but keep reading. It's good.
Yeah.
Also picked up Walking Dead Compendium, and man, that book is huge. Yes, it
Yes, it is.
pick up some Iron Man trade soon, so you may have worked out. I'm a bit of a Marvel guy. I forgive you. But that won't stop me from picking up DC. It takes my fancy. I started off reading trades, but I found a local shop, picked up a couple issues of Thor, which are now bagged, boarded, and stored vertically. Collecting is quite addictive and satisfying. Yeah. Filling those holes, man.
Watch what you say.
Fill those holes.
Filling those holes.
It's just, it is, I have just a book of like, well, I like the Legion of Superheroes, so I have to buy these. And, I mean, if I buy Legion of Superheroes, I might as well buy Rebels, because that was a crossover book, kind of. I mean, it wasn't the same thing. And I
See, now you're showing the fungus.
And if I'm buying,
the disease,
and if I'm buying Rebels, right? If I'm buying Rebels, well, I mean, you know, there's a crossover into Omega Man, and I mean, I might as well buy Omega Man. It never ends. So, well, Dave, you've now ruined your life. So, congratulations. Join us.
I talked about this earlier with somebody here at the sale. Is that you go through the evolution? You kind of. You're introduced to comics, so you want to get as much as possible that kind of tickles your fancy. It's kind of like walking to a jewelry store and seeing everything shiny and wanting everything shiny.
Watch out on burnout, though. Be careful with that. It's very easy to burn out.
Yeah, it's because you saw me do that when I came back. I was buying a lot of books, and you end up really just trimming the fat very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell people all the time, just because you have the last 500 issues of a book, if you really don't like it, I mean really don't like it, you don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm crazy. See, because what you do, I don't want to say this for people to stop buying books. I mean, feel free to buy all the books you want. But what happens, people, especially when people get really hardcore into comics, and I've seen this happen numerous times, they don't just weed out slowly. A lot of them just go completely cold turkey.
That's how I did last time.
And if you want to get out of comics, the only way to get out is to go cold turkey or to really completely change. You know, if you're a regular Wednesday guy here all the time and you're coming in every week, you know, it's very hard to not pick up stuff. You know, if you don't like a book, drop it. There's 100 other titles to pick up. I would rather have my customers buying a little less but be happy than buying everything on the rack, not liking them, not reading them, because what's going to happen is that guy's just going to stop reading comics. That guy or girl is just going to stop reading.
Yeah.
So really, check out everything you can, but honestly, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And you know, this goes to the sales chart thing as well that we were talking about before. You know, these big event books, I mean, I love them, so I buy them.
Yeah.
I tell other people to buy them, and there's a lot of excitement around it. But if you don't like it, don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
You know,
and
it's really kind of sobering once you come to that conclusion.
Yeah, it's you start like I've been purging. Like I sort in a short box. It's my read box. I sort once it's full. I sort it in my collection and I purge. I get rid of stuff that I'm like, why do I even have this? I'm not going to read it again.
Yeah,
I don't need it. I just have it. It's kind of like it fills up space, and because I have this space filled with comics, I feel better about myself. No, it's
well, I mean, I have a lot of books.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I have a lot of books.
Yeah.
However, I try to the best of my ability to keep it within a sort of its containment area.
There's a limit to the space.
Well, right. There's physically a limit to the amount of books I can carry in there. When I start to get to that, when I start to approach that limit, I have to start pulling stuff out. I mean, I'm lucky enough I have a store I can bring the stuff to. But you can put books on Amazon, you can put them up on eBay, you can put them on Craigslist. You know, if you're in the UK, I don't think they have Craigslist over there. You can put up something similar, give them away to your friends, get other people into reading comics, because, you know, going to a comic store is fun. Going with a bunch of buddies is even cooler, especially if you're the guy behind the register, ringing them all up. You know, get friends.
What the hell was that?
No, I mean, I just want more people to bring in their friends to comic stores, because then they buy more stuff, and then I'm filled with fat comic money, and then I can
that's cool.
Spend it on
what did you just
hookers
do with
and
your
blow.
Body. That was gross. Is this your Ron Burgundy kind of impersonation?
Nice. I was doing a little jazz hands dance for Brock of all the fat comic bank.
I'm barfing on the air right now.
Fat comic bank that I make. Because, you know...
Fat comic book bank?
Yeah, comic book owners, you know, rolling in it.
Obviously.
I'm going to say, I think very few comic book owners probably do this for the money. I mean, you really are there for the love, because there's not much money coming in for this job. I mean, I do okay, but it's like, God, yeah. Well, I can have a real job.
I think having a comic book store is more entertaining than having a couch.
Okay. Sure.
Because people come in for their therapy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I am a bartender. I am a therapist.
Shrink,
yeah. Oh yeah. I got 100 norms. That's the thing. I got 100 norms on Friday or on Wednesdays. So yeah. He actually continues here real quick. He says, being a podcast addict, I've looked for some comic podcasts to get into, but I always found them out of my depth. But I'm glad you guys started up one. Don't seem to require an in-depth knowledge of the DC Marvel timelines from the past billion years. I feel old now.
You're 32.
Keep up the great work. Yeah, and that's something we'd like to try to do in this podcast. We're going to fall.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, we're gonna fail from time to time, but if you reference something, we'd like to kind of give you some background on the reference. We talk about books, give a little background, a little history of the comic, and especially in the next handful of episodes, when we start getting those episodes about stuff going, man, gotta stop talking about it and actually do it, and a little research, but we'll get this done. So yeah,
well, maybe
Dave.
We should pick something.
Oh, we will. Well, I already got some stuff set up. I already got some stuff lined up.
Well, why don't you tell me I have homework?
You don't have to know.
Jackass.
We'll figure it out.
No, was this Dan? Dan was his name?
Sure. I just closed my window. Hold on. Yes, Dave. Yes.
Dave. Sorry. Dave. I don't know everything about comics. I mean, I don't have a photographic memory. I've read a lot, but there's so much out there that you're not going to get it all in one dose.
No.
And, I mean, even you, Ryan, you don't know everything there is in comic bookdom.
Don't tell people that.
Oh, shut your mouth. It's okay to be truthful. People want the truth.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
I am all-knowing and all-seeing.
They don't want the truth when it comes to aliens and anal probes, but they want the truth when it comes to comics.
Excellent.
Which is what we try and give them.
Good.
Awesome.
We've got 2 more quick emails to read, and I think we'll do some quick last-minute picks and keep this episode nice and short. It's our get-out-jail-free episode. Again, no work required for this episode. We'll just talk about emails. So keep sending those emails so we don't have to actually prepare for this, things to talk about.
We're supposed to be talking comics, and yet we're doing what Geekbox isn't and answering
emails. Yeah. This is from Jason, who says, hey, thanks for putting together a successful podcast. It's no small feet. That is true, I suppose.
It's 2 tables, a mixer,
and a microphone. I got 2 turntables and a microphone. I love comic books. I'm searching for a good podcast that can quench my thirst like Morbius looking for his next fix. Nice little Spider-Man reference. He thinks his late night hunts are over thanks to the podcast. Keep up the great work. I've actually had a lot of people make this suggestion to add a third person to the podcast. We will have guests on, and we will have other people on. I'm not sure if we're going to have another permanent third person, but we will have other people on this podcast.
Honestly, if we have another permanent third person, we need a girl. I'm sorry to say. I can't do this.
Girls don't read comics. Don't you know anything?
No, they do. There are girls out there that read comics. You know what we need to get? We need to get a hot chick that reads comics.
Don't tell my girlfriend that.
We need to get a hot chick that reads comics.
I'm
not going to tell your girlfriend. She's going to hear about it.
Okay.
We need a hot chick, right? And then she can take pictures in tight shirts.
No.
That would be amazing. I will bet you people are like, yeah, do it, guys.
No, that will be like G4, or we'll be like all those booth babes at Comic-Con and stuff like that. No.
If she reads comics and is comic literate and can complete sentences.
In that case, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I want a hot, I mean, she doesn't have to be hot, but,
okay.
I think that would be funny.
Okay. Dave continues. He has a nerdy art blog he started called draw2d2.com. That's draw2, the number 2, the letter D, the number 2. They do mashup artwork. This assignment, which I guess it was a couple days ago he sent us, so I'm not sure if this is still the most current, but it was The Avengers and The Office. So I actually like half of that, so maybe I'll check this out. No, I actually did check it out. There's some pretty good artwork up there.
Oh, nice.
I just don't like The Office. But
why? I don't even like the British Office.
I haven't seen either.
Oh, God.
Oh, I haven't seen the British one. I've seen like 5 minutes of the American one. I went, not for me. So cool, Jason. Thanks. Excellent. We will check out that we'll check out that site, and hopefully you guys get some cool people to do the art. I think our last email here I want to read is from Mohammed. And this email reads, I like comics and want some good Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash suggestions. I'm new to comics and I'm looking for trades. P.S. I have Flash, The Deadliest, Death of the Rogues, Superboy, The Boy of Steel, Superman, Last Son, All-Star Superman, Green Lantern, No Fear, and a bunch of Batman stuff like Hush. Thanks. There's a lack of punctuation and uppercaseness in this email, so a little difficult to read, but hopefully I got that all right. Mohammed, you want some good Superman, Green Lantern, and Flash suggestions, we will have many suggestions for you in future episodes.
On my blog, I have a list for the Green Lantern read through.
Okay.
So for the current series, if anybody's interested in hopping on Green Lantern before the film, I have a breakdown of all of the graphic novels, at least to Brightest Day.
Cool.
Minus the excessive Blackest Night trades.
Yeah.
But check that out on my blog. And then, I don't know, I would recommend for Superman, I would say Legion of Superheroes. Anything by Jeff Johns.
Yeah, the more recent stuff. His run on action is really good. I have to recommend Superman Batman just because it was a really fun read.
Yeah.
All the Jeff Loeb stuff was really fun. Superman for All Seasons should still be in print. Jeff Loeb himself, great book. One of the other books you should check out is Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. It's early years of Superman, really good. Not quite in continuity anymore, but that doesn't really matter.
Okay.
So, highly recommended.
I'll have to check that one out, too.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Then Flash stories.
Flash. At this point, wait for the Jeff Johns omnibus. It's coming out. It's going to be sweet. A lot of the Flash trades are out of print. So I'd wait for those. I would pick up The Return of Barry Allen, which is Mark Waid. That's a great arc. I would try to pick up a couple more. Grant Morrison wrote a couple Flash trades, or a couple Flash stories. Emergency Stop is one of them. I believe that's still available. I want to say he did another. Was it Human Race? Is that I'm looking at it right there. The Human Race. That's another Flash book by Grant Morrison. Those are fun. You said you got the Dastardly. What do you say? The Dastardly Death of the Rogues. That's the new one by Jeff Johns. So that's good. Superboy. Your best bet is just to stick with the current stuff. I would
stay away from the Superboy Prime stuff.
Oh.
Superboy Prime.
We will talk Superboy Prime next week. We will talk Superboy Prime next week. So let's not bring it up this week. But if you like Superboy, I would definitely check out Teen Titans again by Jeff Johns. Man, I'm really seriously not trying to plug Jeff Johns this much, but no, I'm seriously not. But it's like, if you're asking what good Green Lantern, Flash, Superboy books have been out recently, well, Jeff Johns. So yes, those are the ones to read. Superboy. Read the Teen Titans, the Jeff Johns, then the stuff comes afterwards. And Legion of Three Worlds by Jeff Johns as well, featuring Superboy and Impulse.
That was a Final Crisis.
Final Crisis.
Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds.
I would read all those, Mohammed. Those are good
don't
titles.
Worry if you're confused reading Final Crisis, Legion of Three Worlds. I was after I read it, and then I read some Legion stuff, and then it made sense.
I'm sure everyone but Mark Waid was confused about it.
Yeah, probably.
As he is the comic god. Well, this short episode is running like as long as most of our other episodes, although I guess we do edit it down a little bit and edit out all the ums and ahs, or a few of them at least. So,
hallelujah.
Brock. Let's get the hell out of here. I'm tired.
So am I.
I'm tired of all these comic books.
We still have one more thing to do.
And all these sales.
We still have one more thing to do.
I know. Why don't you choose your random comic pick?
My random comic pick of the week. Let's see. I'm going to go with Superman Earth 1 by Straczynski.
Superman Earth 1, the graphic novel by J. Michael Straczynski and Shane Davis.
Yes. Very good. Very kind of ultimate.
Very ultimate.
Yeah.
Superman.
And,
Superman becomes Superman in the year 2010. Right.
Very good. Straczynski, actually a good story by Straczynski because it's an entire story and not in single issue. It's in graphic format, but I really, really enjoyed it.
Excellent.
And I suggest everybody pick it up and give it a read.
Excellent. I'm going to recommend a book that I will recommend probably multiple times in this show just because of how long the book is running for. Not superhero book at all. It's called Knights of the Dinner Table. I think I mentioned this briefly on a prior podcast. I know I've brought it up on the Geek Box. Knights of the Dinner Table is a long-running series by a company called Kenzer Co. Knights of the Dinner Table is written by Jolly Blackburn, if I'm getting that name correct. It is about a handful of guys and a girl who played Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Dungeons & Dragons, but it's sort of like Dungeons & Dragons. The art is not good. It's basically just like clip art reused.
It's very newspaper cartoon.
It's very right. It is a hilarious book. It's all about the text. It's all about these characters. It's about the humans that play D&D. And it's just them sitting around a table for almost every strip and just talking about their characters and acting in game. And you that sounds stupid. Maybe don't start at the beginning of the book because there were just a lot of shorts. There were a lot of 3-panel strips. You kind of wait. But once you get into the book a little bit more, these characters take on a life of their own. It's great personality. They have 20 years of history. I mean, only a short amount of time has passed within the comics. But but characters have died. They've come back. I mean, this is a nerd D&D soap opera comic of epic proportion that comes out in these like $6 issues every month that are just filled with all sorts of like generic D&D rules in the back and all sorts of other extra. Most of the extra stuff's kind of stupid, but some of it's really cool. And the main stories are just hilarious. Highly recommend it. They have a bunch of what they call the Bundle of Troubles, which collect like 3 or 4 books into one book. If you read the first 1 or 2 and you think it's cool, definitely keep going because it really picks up a very strong narrative that has lasted almost 20 years. I can highly recommend it.
Now, are those trades still available?
You're going to run into a little difficulty picking them up in comic shops, in all honesty. Diamond does not keep stock on a lot of them. You can get them direct from the publisher, and if you go to your local comic shop and they want to buy direct, they should be able to get them from the distributor, or from Kenzer directly themselves. So hopefully you can pick it up that way. You know, you can check online, and you know, for small press books like that, especially if you live if your comic shop doesn't want to order it, you know, order direct from them. They probably appreciate the business and they get a better cut. So, you know, I like it if you order
through you.
I'd love it if you order through me, but you know, order through your.
It's the honest thing. It's get it where you can get it.
So yeah, I would recommend picking it up from them. If your local shop doesn't have it, you know, get it direct from the publisher. They can get some extra cash that way. So, but of course, if you wanted to order through me, I'll gladly do that as well. So, you know, actually, I have a handful of people we need to thank for orders that have placed through the store, and I do it on the Geekbox, but I've spazzed doing it the last few weeks. So I'll probably do it on the Geekbox next week if you've ordered something from the store and want to say thank you. So you can listen to that. We'll do it here as well. You can always
packing feedback. It's awesome.
Cool. But I think we're going to go ahead and call this an episode. This is episode 4 of the Comic Conspiracy.
Really?
Thank you, Brock, for
Thank you, Brock. Episode 4.
It is. Thank you, Brock, for stopping
New
by.
Hope for us, right?
Oh, is this New Hope?
This is New Hope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Who are you? Are you Chewy?
Why do I have to be Chewy?
I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Just because I have long hair?
You make funny noises.
So?
I don't know.
Humans are supposed to fart every
I'll be Amberu. I don't mind being destroyed by stormtroopers.
I want to be Wedge.
Oh, I'm Wedge.
No. Oh, so now we know.
Well,
now
Wedge is the greatest character in all of all of Star Wars history. He's the only person to survive both attacks on the Death Star. He has two Death Star stamps on the side of his X-wing. Wedge is the greatest character of all time. I don't want to hear any fucking bad talk about Wedge.
I have no bad talk about Wedge.
You better not, because Wedge is
bad talk about
shit.
Superboy Prime, but not Wedge.
Oh, we'll talk Superboy Prime next week.
We will.
For all of you who want to know more about Superboy Prime, we'll talk about him next week. Me and Brock had a little argument earlier, and we're going to hash it out here live on the Comic Conspiracy.
So check us out at the forums.geekbox.net.
Yeah, if you want to talk, forums.geekbox.net.
You can check out information from my blog at conspiratorbrock.blogspot.com.
If you want to send us some email, The Comic Conspiracy, no S, The Comic Conspiracy at geekbox.net. Mm-hmm. We'll read your emails on the air when we have nothing else to talk about, because this was a lazy episode for us.
Whose fault is that?
I blame all my customers that spent all their money at my sale today and made me have to have a sale.
But you have to thank them, too.
I know. I really thank our customers coming out for our sale. And, actually, I have to thank a little last-minute shout-out to another one of our customers, Mike Rubin. He said he listened to the podcast, and he sold us a big collection of comics recently. And he's like, hey, you should give me a shout-out on the podcast. So here's your shout-out, Mike. You rock. Thanks for the comics. We'll find him good homes.
Hopefully.
Hope you liked it. He said he's actually buying more comics now because of the podcast, what we talked about. So, hey, sweet.
Works for me.
Yeah, it works for me too. All right, we've gone a lot longer than I anticipated for this short podcast. So let's call it a night, and we will see you all never, because this is a podcast. We'll talk to you all next week.